The fermented secret: how apples become living medicine. When you look at a simple bottle of apple cider vinegar, you might see it as a yellowish liquid with a strong odor and a sour taste. However, behind this modest appearance lies a true process of biological alchemy, transformation that begins with a sweet fruit and ends with a solution loaded with bioactive compounds capable of profoundly influencing the human body. Few foods carry such a rich history of tradition, science, and mystery as apple cider vinegar. It all starts with the apple. This fruit, which has symbolized health for centuries, is composed of natural sugars, fiber, vitamins, and a multitude of phytochemicals. When apples are crushed and turned into juice, we begin the first stage of this magical process: alcoholic fermentation. At this stage, yeasts, tiny, invisible organisms, consume the fructose and glucose present in the juice, transforming them into alcohol. This is the same principle used to create wine or cider, but in the case of vinegar, it doesn't stop there. Then comes the second act of transformation: acetic fermentation. Here, another group of microorganisms enters the scene. Bacteria of the genus Acetobacter. They breathe oxygen and convert the alcohol produced by yeast into acetic acid. This acid is the main molecule responsible for vinegar's sour taste and antimicrobial properties. But the trick is that this natural process, when unfiltered, produces something even more special: the so-called mother of vinegar. This cloudy substance, made up of protein chains, enzymes, and colonies of beneficial bacteria, is like the beating heart of raw apple cider vinegar. This is where the health magic begins. Acetic acid isn't just a byproduct of fermentation, it's an active agent with surprising metabolic effects. Studies show that it helps modulate blood glucose levels, improve insulin sensitivity, and even influence mineral absorption. Furthermore, the presence of polyphenols from the original apple remains, bringing with them antioxidant properties that fight free radicals and help reduce silent inflammation in the body. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect is the link between this fermentation process and the human microbiome. Think about it. Raw apple cider vinegar is literally a living food, loaded with probiotic bacteria that can interact with the bacteria in our gut. This dialogue is no small feat. We now know that the gut is the command center for countless bodily processes, influencing everything from digestion to mood, the immune system, and even mental clarity. Consuming a liquid that carries beneficial microorganisms and bioactive compounds is like fueling your gut flora to function as a defense force. It's no wonder that ancient civilizations already intuited this power. The Egyptians used vinegar in medicinal concoctions thousands of years ago. Hippocrates, considered the father of medicine, prescribed vinegar mixed with honey to treat infections and strengthen the body. The Japanese incorporated it into their traditional meals as a way to preserve food and increase longevity. In other words, long before modern science could unravel it, molecule by molecule, human instinct already recognized that there was something special about this golden liquid. Today, when we speak of living medicine, we're not being poetic. Raw, unfiltered, and unpasteurized, apple cider vinegar contains enzymes that can aid digestion, probiotics that promote intestinal balance, and a unique combination of compounds that only exist because nature transformed the sweet apple into a vital, acidic substance. Each drop carries not only acetic acid, but also malic acid, citric acid, pectins, and trace amounts of vitamins and minerals. It's as if all the richness of the apple had been concentrated, refined, and elevated to a new level of biological potency. This transformation also explains why apple cider vinegar is unlike other common vinegars. While many wine or distilled vinegars undergo rapid industrial processes, filtration, and pasteurization, raw apple cider vinegar and the brain, neuroplasticity, focus, and memory. When we think of apple cider vinegar, the conversation almost always revolves around digestion, metabolism, or weight loss. But there's an even more intriguing dimension that's rarely explored. The brain, our most complex organ, which consumes about 20% of all body energy, can be directly and indirectly impacted by what we put on our plate or in our glass. And here comes the silent but powerful role of apple cider vinegar. Let's start with the basics. The brain needs stable fuel. Unlike other organs that can handle wider energy fluctuations, the brain is extremely sensitive to blood glucose fluctuations. Rapid fluctuations, sudden spikes and drops can result in mental fatigue, memory lapses, irritability, and even difficulty concentrating. The acetic acid in apple cider vinegar has been shown in studies to reduce the glycemic index of meals, i.e., slowing the absorption of carbohydrates. This means more consistent and sustained energy for the brain, without those sudden dips that make you feel like you VA shut down in the middle of the day. But that's just the beginning of the story. Apple cider vinegar also indirectly affects the brain through gut health. There's now a widely studied concept called the gut-brain axis. In short, it's a two-way communication between the trillions of bacteria that live in our gut and the central nervous system. These bacteria produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA, influence systemic inflammation, and even modulate how we deal with stress. When we consume raw apple cider vinegar, we're introducing organic acids and compounds that nourish the gut microbiota, strengthening this communication axis. The result: less anxiety, more mental clarity, and even improved sleep quality, which in turn directly affects memory. Now, let's talk about neuroplasticity. This elegant term refers to the brain's ability to adapt, form new connections, and learn new things throughout life. Recent studies suggest that antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds play a key role in this process. The polyphenols present in apples, which resist the fermentation process, act as protectors of nerve cells, reducing the oxidative stress that, in excess, damages neurons. It's as if they clear the ground, allowing new brain connections to flourish. Another fascinating point is the impact of apple cider vinegar on levels of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a growth factor that acts as a fertilizer for neurons. Although research is still in its early stages, there are indications that regularly consuming fermented foods can stimulate an increase in BDNF. And why does this matter? Because higher levels of BDNF are associated with better memory, greater learning capacity, and even emotional resilience in the face of stress. But don't think we're just talking about abstract biological effects. These processes have practical implications for everyday life. Imagine waking up in the morning and not feeling that mental heaviness, that fog that makes everything seem slower, or being able to stay focused on a task for longer without needing multiple cups of coffee, or even remembering names, numbers, and details more easily. These are concrete examples of how small changes in brain metabolism can profoundly alter our daily experience. And here's a practical curiosity. Some people report that drinking apple cider vinegar diluted in water first thing in the morning helps them feel a kind of mental clarity. Science suggests that this may be linked to both glucose stabilization and the gentle stimulation of the digestive system, which sends positive signals to the brain. It's as if the body receives a message: we're ready to start the day in balance. Furthermore, apple cider vinegar may influence the control of cortisol, the stress hormone. High cortisol levels are harmful. They affect memory, hinder learning, and erode brain connections over time. By helping to stabilize metabolism and the gut-brain axis, vinegar can be an indirect ally in reducing these negative impacts. This doesn't mean it replaces therapies or lifestyle changes, but it can be an additional support in this silent battle against chronic stress. Finally, we can't forget mitochondrial health. The brain, being the organ that consumes the most energy, depends on efficient mitochondria. Acetic acid and other components in apple cider vinegar promote more stable cellular energy production, which means more ATP is available for neurons to function fully. This translates into better reasoning, sharper memory, and greater mental stamina. If you've ever noticed moments of brain fog in your daily life, stay with me. Let's step outside the box and dive into one of the most talked about topics of the moment: how apple cider vinegar can influence the immune system and help prevent disease. This could be the missing link between your diet and your natural defense against viruses and bacteria. Few realize, but our immune system is like a silent army that works 24 hours a day without rest. It protects us against viruses, bacteria, fungi, toxins, and even defective cells that could transform into something much worse. And, like any army, it needs supplies, balance, and perfect communication to operate effectively. Apple cider vinegar, despite being simple and inexpensive, can act as a powerful reinforcement in this complex system. Let's start with our body's most immediate barrier, the gut. Over 70% of our immune cells are located in the gastrointestinal tract, because this is where we first encounter most invaders. When we ingest raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar, It provides not only acetic acid but also bioactive compounds that help balance the gut microbiota. This microbiota in turn determines how our immune cells will react in a balanced and controlled manner, or in an exaggerated manner, causing chronic inflammation. Therefore, strengthening the gut is, in essence, strengthening immunity. Another fascinating point is vinegar's direct antimicrobial action. Acetic acid has properties capable of inhibiting the growth of various pathogenic bacteria, including some that are among the most resistant to common antibiotics. This doesn't mean it replaces medical treatment, but it suggests that regular consumption can reduce the microbial load that challenges the immune system daily. In other words, vinegar helps clear the playing field, leaving the body's defenses free to deal with more serious threats. But perhaps the most interesting aspect is how apple cider vinegar can influence the body's inflammatory state. The immune system isn't just a defense against external invaders, it also regulates internal processes. When there's chronic inflammation caused by poor diet, stress, pollution, or even poor sleep, our immune system becomes depleted. The acetic acid and polyphenols in apples have anti-inflammatory properties that help reduce this constant state of alert, allowing the immune cells to focus on more urgent tasks. Now, let us move on to something few people talk about. Apple cider vinegar can also impact white blood cell production, especially through its influence on metabolism and the liver. When the liver functions more efficiently metabolizing toxins, balancing fats, and regulating hormones, immune cells receive clearer and more consistent signals. Preliminary studies indicate that compounds in vinegar may improve communication between the liver and the immune system, resulting in a faster response against invaders. Furthermore, there is a close relationship between blood glucose levels and immunity. Spikes in glucose can temporarily paralyze the activity of white blood cells, reducing their ability to fight. By mitigating these spikes, apple cider vinegar indirectly acts as an immune guardian, ensuring that defense cells are always ready for action. But vinegar isn't just effective inside the body. Historically, it has been used as a natural disinfectant, including even during major epidemics, when people carried cloths soaked in vinegar, believing they could reduce exposure to pathogens. Today, we know that its antimicrobial effect is real, albeit limited. But it serves as a reminder that this simple liquid has always been associated with protection. And here comes a powerful concept: immune resilience. It's not just about avoiding disease, but how the body responds when it inevitably comes into contact with it. A resilient immune system means shorter fevers, less intense colds, and faster recovery. By reducing unnecessary inflammation, nourishing the gut microbiota, and stabilizing metabolism, apple cider vinegar can help the body achieve precisely this state of readiness and balance. Think of it as fine-tuning. Apple cider vinegar isn't a superhero that does everything on its own. It's more like an army strategist. It organizes the troops, balances resources, and ensures the response occurs at the apple cider vinegar and detoxification. The silent guardian of the liver. When we talk about detoxification, many people imagine extreme diets, miracle juices, or expensive detox programs that promise quick results. But the truth is that our body already has an incredibly sophisticated detoxification system, and the protagonist of this function is the liver. It acts as a biochemical filter that works tirelessly. It processes environmental toxins, neutralizes harmful substances from processed foods, regulates hormones, and even stores essential nutrients. And here's the surprising part: apple cider vinegar can be a silent ally in this process, helping the liver function more efficiently and reducing toxic overload in the body. The first point to consider is acetic acid's ability to stimulate digestive and bile enzymes. Whenever you drink apple cider vinegar before a meal, especially a high-fat meal, it sends a signal to the liver and gallbladder to release more bile. Bile, in turn, is essential not only for digesting fats, but also for eliminating fat-soluble waste. That is, toxins that can only be expelled from the body when bound to fat molecules. Without sufficient bile, these toxins can silently accumulate, overwhelming the body. Another fascinating aspect is how apple cider vinegar influences the body's pH balance. Although vinegar is acidic to the taste, it exerts a gentle alkalizing effect on metabolism. This pH adjustment improves cellular function and helps the liver convert toxic substances into forms that are easier to eliminate. Think of it as a tuner, helping each cell in the body function at its correct frequency, avoiding excess acidity that could impair detoxification pathways. Vinegar also contains apple-derived polyphenols, antioxidant compounds that reduce oxidative stress in the liver. Oxidative stress is the accumulation of free radicals that can damage liver cells and compromise their function. When the liver is stressed, it loses some of its ability to filter toxins efficiently. It's like a clogged water filter. Water still passes through, but with lower quality. The polyphenols in vinegar helped clean this cellular filter, keeping the liver more resilient to daily wear and tear. Another little discussed point is the link between glucose, insulin resistance, and detoxification. People with metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes often have fatty liver, a condition in which the organ accumulates excess lipids. This accumulation severely compromises its detoxifying function. Apple cider vinegar, by improving insulin sensitivity and stabilizing glucose levels, helps it indirectly, helps prevent and even reverse hepatic steatosis, fatty liver. In other words, less excess glucose in the blood means less fat in the liver, and consequently, an organ freer to perform its primary function of cleansing the body. Furthermore, apple cider vinegar plays a role in gut health, which is deeply connected to the liver through the so-called enterohepatic pathway. In short, everything that happens in the gut directly affects the liver. If the microbiota is imbalanced, bacterial toxins such as endotoxins can escape into the bloodstream and overload the liver. Regular consumption of raw vinegar, rich in acids and beneficial microorganisms, can help balance this environment, reducing the extra work the liver would have to do dealing with toxins produced by harmful bacteria. It's also worth noting the effect of vinegar on the kidneys, which work in partnership with the liver in the elimination process. While the liver converts toxins into soluble forms, the kidneys filter and excrete these wastes through urine. Consuming vinegar promotes cellular hydration and can reduce the formation of crystals or small kidney stones, preventing kidney overwork. Simply put, when the liver and kidneys work together harmoniously, the body can remain cleaner, more energized, and more resilient. Now, think about it. Isn't it curious that a simple kitchen ingredient can influence so many detoxification pathways simultaneously? While some seek expensive and complex solutions, something as basic as raw, unfiltered vinegar can be the missing piece to optimize this natural process. It doesn't replace habits like a high-fiber diet, adequate water, and restful sleep, but it works as a booster, almost like the oil that keeps the gears turning without jamming. If you want to truly understand how apple cider vinegar's support for the liver and detoxification can impact your daily energy and even the healthy aging process, I'll show you how it can directly impact vitality and even cellular longevity, something that can transform the way you view this simple food. Apple cider vinegar and vital energy, the hidden fuel of cells. If there's one common complaint among people of all ages, it's lack of energy. How many times have you woken up feeling tired, even after a full night's sleep? Or ended the day without the energy to do something simple, like take a walk or play with your kids? This constant fatigue is often linked not only to physical rest, but also to the way our cells produce energy. And here comes a surprising discovery. Apple cider vinegar can directly influence this process, helping cells function like true power plants. To understand this, we need to talk about mitochondria, small organelles present in every cell. They take nutrients from food and transform them into usable energy, the famous ATP adenosine triphosphate. Think of them as internal batteries that need to be well charged for the entire body to function. If your mitochondria are sluggish, you experience fatigue, a foggy mind, and even difficulty concentrating. Apple cider vinegar enters this scenario as a metabolic facilitator. Acetic acid has the ability to improve glucose utilization within the cell, increasing the efficiency with which mitochondria transform sugar into energy. This means less glucose remaining in the blood, which reduces peaks of fatigue and more fuel being properly directed to the body's internal batteries. But the effect doesn't stop there. Consuming vinegar also stimulates fat oxidation, meaning it helps the body use stored fat as an energy source. This is one of the great secrets of stable vitality. When your body learns to efficiently switch between glucose and fat, you become more resistant to fatigue, Unlike the quick but fleeting energy we feel when eating sugar, the energy from fat is more constant, long-lasting, and without sudden drops. Another fascinating detail is how vinegar can influence the production of antioxidant enzymes within cells. When mitochondria produce energy, they inevitably release free radicals, which can damage the cell over time. The acetic acid and polyphenols in vinegar help stimulate enzymes like catalase and superoxide dismutase that function as an internal defense system against these radicals. This not only preserves mitochondrial health, but also slows the cellular aging process. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have a youthful energy, even after their 50s or 60s? Often, this is related to the preservation of mitochondrial health, and this is where vinegar becomes more than a condiment. It is a silent modulator of vital energy, helping to keep your internal batteries charged for longer. It is also important to highlight vinegar's role in hormonal balance, especially regarding cortisol, the stress hormone, and leptin, the satiety hormone. Chronic stress and uncontrolled eating are major energy drainers. Vinegar, by regulating glucose levels and improving insulin sensitivity, helps keep cortisol more stable and leptin more efficient. The result: fewer sugar cravings, fewer sudden energy fluctuations, and more energy throughout the day. And there is also the link between cellular energy and gut health. Remember what we said about the gut-liver axis? Well, the gut also influences how we absorb nutrients that convert to energy. If the gut is inflamed or imbalanced, your energy levels drop dramatically. Apple cider vinegar, with its natural acidity and beneficial microorganisms, can help balance the gut microbiota, allowing for better absorption of B vitamins, which are essential cofactors for energy production in the mitochondria. Now, imagine this complete picture: mitochondria more efficiently using glucose and fat, fewer energy spikes and dips throughout the day, free radicals neutralized before they cause damage, more balanced hormones, reducing stress and cravings. A healthy gut absorbs nutrients that sustain vitality. The result is simple yet powerful: a body that not only survives the day, but thrives with abundant and consistent energy. Now let us dive into an even more intriguing topic: how apple cider vinegar can impact skin health and physical appearance, connecting detox, energy, and aesthetics. Something that will surprise those who think vinegar only works internally. We often think of beauty as something external, dependent on expensive cosmetics, creams, or treatments. But the truth is, beauty starts from the inside out. Radiant skin, strong hair, and even strong nails directly reflect the health of the body. And here's a detail that surprises many: apple cider vinegar, in addition to its metabolic effects, can be a powerful ally for natural beauty. Let's start with the skin. The skin is the body's largest organ and acts as a mirror of what's happening internally. When there's excess toxins, inflammation, or hormonal imbalance, it responds with clear signs: acne, excessive oiliness, dryness, blemishes, or premature aging. Apple cider vinegar contributes on two levels: internal and external. Used internally, acetic acid helps the body balance blood pH and the gut microbiome, which translates into lower systemic inflammation. Less inflammation means less acne, less redness, and a more even skin tone. Furthermore, by regulating glucose levels, vinegar reduces glycation, a silent process in which excess sugar damages collagen and elastin, accelerating wrinkles and sagging. For topical use, vinegar can be diluted in water and used as a natural toner. It helps restore the skin's acid barrier, which is a line of defense against bacteria, pollution, and external agents. This barrier, when stable, keeps skin more hydrated, less prone to acne, and younger looking. It's no wonder that many people report improvements in blemishes and oil balance after weeks of topical use. Now, let's talk about hair. The scalp, like the skin, also has a microbiome and needs a balanced pH. Harsh shampoos and pollution can leave the scalp alkaline, promoting dandruff and hair loss. A diluted apple cider vinegar rinse can restore the natural pH, eliminate residue, and close the hair cuticles, leaving hair shinier and softer. Furthermore, by improving blood circulation, an indirect effect of regular consumption, Vinegar promotes the nourishment of hair follicles, promoting healthy growth. Worthy. And what about nails? They also reflect internal deficiencies. Brittleness, blemishes, and slow growth can be linked to poor nutrient absorption or intestinal imbalances. Vinegar, by supporting digestive health and the microbiota, optimizes the absorption of minerals such as zinc, iron, and calcium, all essential for strong, healthy nails. But there's a key point here. Beauty isn't just aesthetic. It's a sign of vitality. When apple cider vinegar improves circulation, balances hormones, strengthens immunity, and optimizes metabolism, the entire body responds. You feel energy, disposition, and mental clarity, and this is reflected in sparkle in your eyes, vitality in your hair, and firmness in your skin. It's also worth highlighting the impact on the natural detox process. When the liver and kidneys function better, there's less toxin buildup in the body. This prevents that heavy appearance of the skin and makes room for a natural radiance. Often, dull, lifeless skin is simply a reflection of overworked organs. Here comes a little discussed aspect: apple cider vinegar as an anti-aging factor. Not because it's a miracle worker, but because it attacks the root causes of aging: inflammation, glycation, oxidative stress, and hormonal imbalances. By reducing these four silent villains, it creates the ideal environment for beauty to flourish naturally. Imagine waking up in the morning and realizing your skin is clearer, your hair is shinier, and your nails are stronger. Not because you bought a new expensive cream or supplement, but because you've taken care of the foundation. Internal balance. This is the promise of a holistic approach, and apple cider vinegar is an accessible and powerful tool within it. Now, let us explore an even deeper topic: apple cider vinegar and chronic disease prevention. A natural shield for the body. Chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular problems, and even silent metabolic disorders are called modern epidemics. They don't appear overnight, but develop slowly, sometimes over decades, until the first symptoms become inevitable. The biggest challenge is that by the time we realize they're already in advanced stages. Therefore, science and functional medicine increasingly advocate the idea of prevention before cure. And this is precisely where apple cider vinegar can play an unexpected role. The first point to consider is the impact on blood glucose. Several studies show that a simple dose of apple cider vinegar before meals can reduce glucose spikes by up to 30%. What does this mean in practice? Less stress on the pancreas, reduced insulin resistance, and a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. With each meal balanced by vinegar, you give your body a chance to breathe metabolically, reducing the cumulative damage that leads to disease. In addition, there is an effect on cholesterol and triglyceride levels. The acetic acid and polyphenols present in vinegar help reduce LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, and increase HDL, the good cholesterol, improving the lipid profile. This balance is essential for protecting the arteries against the silent process of atherosclerosis, which can lead to heart attacks and strokes. Think of vinegar as a kind of natural janitor for your veins, helping to clear out excess fluid that could compromise circulation. Another impressive aspect is vinegar's role in blood pressure. Research shows that regular consumption can contribute to vasodilation and improve blood vessel elasticity. When blood pressure is maintained at more stable levels, the risk of hypertension and its complications, such as heart failure and strokes, is significantly reduced. It's like giving the heart a continuous rest, reducing the strain that silently weakens it over the years. But the benefits don't stop with the cardiovascular system. Apple cider vinegar also acts on the liver, one of the main defense organs against toxins. By optimizing its functions, it contributes to more efficient detoxification, reducing the risk of liver diseases associated with modern lifestyles, such as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. This increasingly common disorder is now considered the new and metabolic epidemic, and can develop into serious conditions if left unchecked. Another relevant point is vinegar's antioxidant action. Bioactive compounds such as polyphenols help fight free radicals, unstable molecules that accelerate cellular aging and are linked to diseases such as cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. By neutralizing these silent aggressors, vinegar creates a kind of protective shield for cells, preserving their integrity and vitality. And we can't forget the gut microbiome, currently considered the invisible organ of the human body. A balanced gut means less systemic inflammation, better nutrient absorption, and even greater mood regulation through serotonin production. Vinegar, by feeding beneficial bacteria and balancing intestinal pH, directly contributes to a stronger immune system, reducing the risk of autoimmune and chronic inflammatory diseases. Now, let us talk about something even more intriguing. Apple cider vinegar can even be an ally in the prevention of neurodegenerative diseases. This is because glucose regulation and the reduction of chronic inflammation are closely linked to brain health. Alzheimer's, for example, has already been called type 3 diabetes by many scientists, precisely because of the relationship between insulin resistance and cognitive decline. By improving insulin sensitivity, vinegar helps protect not only the body but also the mind. What we need to understand is that preventing chronic diseases doesn't depend on radical measures, but on small, consistent changes in daily life. Apple cider vinegar isn't a magic pill, but it is a strategic ally. It acts silently on multiple body systems, reducing risks that accumulate over the years. Imagine 10 or 20 years from now, while many people your age are beginning to deal with long-term medications, hospitalizations, and restrictions. You could be reaping the rewards of simple choices made today. Apple cider vinegar is one of those choices, affordable, natural, and scientifically validated. In just a few minutes, we'll dive into a little explored but fascinating topic: the role of apple cider vinegar in energy, mood, and daily performance. You'll discover how something so simple can become a natural fuel for body and mind. Lack of energy is currently one of the most frequently reported symptoms in doctor's appointments, health surveys, and even casual conversations. Who hasn't woken up tired, needing several cups of coffee to function? This feeling of constant fatigue is often not just the result of poor sleep, but also of metabolic, digestive, and even hormonal imbalances that drain vitality. Apple cider vinegar, surprisingly, can be a powerful ally in this process of restoring natural energy. Let's start with the key point: glycemic control. When you consume foods rich in simple carbohydrates, white bread, sweets, your blood glucose rises rapidly. The body responds by releasing excess insulin, which pushes this sugar into your cells. The result, an energy spike, followed by a sudden drop, known as a glycemic crash. It's that moment when you feel drowsy, unfocused, and lacking energy. Apple cider vinegar helps smooth this cycle by slowing the digestion of carbohydrates and reducing the rate at which glucose enters the bloodstream. This means more stable energy throughout the day, without the ups and downs that rob you of productivity. Another factor is mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the power plants of cells, responsible for converting nutrients into ATP, the body's energy currency. Studies showed that the acetic acid in apple cider vinegar can improve mitochondrial efficiency, allowing cells to extract more energy from the food you eat. This is to say that, with the same plate of food, your body can produce more vitality if it has the right support. Furthermore, there is an indirect effect through gut health. Many people don't realize that chronic fatigue is directly linked to microbiome imbalances. When the gut flora is compromised, the absorption of essential nutrients like iron, magnesium, and B vitamins is impaired, all of which are crucial for energy production. Apple cider vinegar acts as a natural prebiotic, nourishing by promoting beneficial bacteria and restoring the body's ability to utilize every nutrient in food. Another fascinating aspect is hormonal regulation. Hormones like cortisol, associated with stress, and insulin are closely linked to feelings of vitality. When imbalanced, the body enters a state of chronic fatigue. By improving insulin sensitivity and reducing inflammation, apple cider vinegar indirectly helps balance the hormonal balance. This translates into less physiological stress and more energy available for daily life. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect is its connection to the body's acid-base balance. Although vinegar is acidic in the mouth, when metabolized, it becomes alkalizing, helping to balance the internal pH. This balance improves metabolic processes and reduces the feeling of fatigue that is often caused by a body overloaded with toxins and inflammatory processes. Simply put, when the internal environment is balanced, the body functions like a well-oiled machine, and that means more energy. And let's not forget the impact on hydration. Apple cider vinegar, when diluted in water, can help maintain electrolyte balance. Minerals like potassium in vinegar help with electrical conduction in cells, essential for muscle and nerve function. Anyone who's ever experienced cramps or mental fatigue after sweating heavily knows how important this is. A simple mixture of water, apple cider vinegar, and a pinch of sea salt can become a natural hydration drink, replacing sugar-laden industrial isotonic drinks. In practice, incorporating apple cider vinegar into your routine can mean more mental clarity in the morning, greater physical energy in the afternoon, and less sluggishness or drowsiness after meals. It's as if your body is running on clean fuel, without the ups and downs that sap vitality. Now, imagine the impacts this has on your daily life. More energy to work without relying on stimulants, the willingness to exercise regularly, concentration to study or create, and a more balanced mood. Small doses of apple cider vinegar, used wisely, can mean the difference between a sluggish life and one full of vigor. In a moment, we'll explore how apple cider vinegar can directly impact skin and hair health, a topic that combines aesthetics and health from the inside out. Don't miss it, because this is one of the most surprising and least discussed uses. When we talk about health, we often forget that the body is an integrated system. What we eat and drink directly affects the appearance of our skin, the strength and shine of our hair, and even the strength of our nails. One of the most surprising, yet little-known secrets, is apple cider vinegar's role as a powerful ally in maintaining aesthetic health from the inside out. Let's start with the skin, the body's largest organ, and, in a way, a reflection of internal metabolism. Cellular dehydration, toxin accumulation, and chronic inflammation are responsible for visible signs of aging, acne, rosacea, and dryness. Apple cider vinegar works on multiple fronts. First, it helps balance the skin's pH when consumed regularly, which directly influences the skin's microbiome. A balanced pH creates a hostile environment for pathogenic bacteria, reducing the incidence of inflammation and rashes. Furthermore, the organic acids present in vinegar, particularly acetic acid, help with internal detoxification by improving digestion and liver function. Vinegar helps eliminate toxins and metabolic byproducts more efficiently, reducing their impact on dermal tissue. The result is skin that looks more even, healthy, and less prone to irritation. Another fascinating aspect is its circulation stimulation. Consumed regularly, apple cider vinegar can aid in moderate vasodilation, improving the transport of oxygen and nutrients to skin cells. This not only increases skin luminosity, but also promotes the regeneration and healing of minor injuries. When it comes to hair, apple cider vinegar is equally beneficial. It can improve hair texture, reduce excess oiliness, and restore natural shine. The key lies again in the pH. Conventional shampoos often alter the scalp's acid balance, opening the cuticle and leaving hair dull and brittle. A small amount of vinegar diluted in water applied after washing closes the cuticle, sealing in nutrients and promoting smoother, stronger hair that's less prone to breakage. Vinegar also acts as a natural antiseptic against microorganisms that can cause itching and flaking. This is especially important for people with chronic dandruff or sensitive scalps. By creating a more acidic environment, vinegar helps control the proliferation of fungi and bacteria without the need for harsh chemicals. Another lesser-known effect concerns nails and cuticles. Apple cider vinegar improves the absorption of essential minerals such as calcium and magnesium that strengthen keratin. People who use vinegar regularly report less brittle nails and healthier cuticles, as well as a more well-groomed overall appearance. But perhaps the most interesting aspect is the synergy between internal health and aesthetics. Recent studies show that skin and hair problems are often signs of digestive, hormonal, or inflammatory imbalances. Apple cider vinegar, by supporting digestion, glucose regulation, and intestinal balance, offers indirect benefits that directly impact beauty. It's the concept of beauty from the inside out, where internal changes produce visible and lasting results. In the modern world, where pollution, stress, and poor nutrition constantly harm natural aesthetics, a simple habit of consuming diluted apple cider vinegar can become a transformative practice. It is not just about appearance. Healthy skin and strong hair reflect a more balanced and functional body. Now, let's explore the use of apple cider vinegar as a natural detox for internal organs, including the liver and kidneys. something many people are unaware of, but which can elevate your health to another level. Stay with me until the end. The results may surprise you. Closing our journey on apple cider vinegar, we'll explore a topic that is rarely discussed but has a transformative impact: the use of vinegar as a natural detox for internal organs, including the liver, kidneys, and digestive system. While many know apple cider vinegar only as a digestive regulator or weight loss aid, its role in the body's detoxification processes is profound and scientifically supported. The liver, the body's primary filtering organ, plays a vital role in eliminating toxins, metabolizing fats, and regulating hormones. Substances such as alcohol, medications, and environmental pollutants overload this organ daily. Studies suggest that compounds in apple cider vinegar, including organic acids, polyphenols, and enzymes, may support liver function by stimulating bile production and improving lipid metabolism. This means that fats, toxins, and metabolic byproducts are processed more efficiently, reducing liver strain and preventing fat accumulation and chronic inflammation. Another key point is apple cider vinegar's effect on the kidneys. These organs are responsible for filtering nitrogenous waste and maintaining water and electrolyte balance. Regular consumption of diluted apple cider vinegar helps maintain a balanced urinary pH, preventing the formation of crystals and kidney stones in susceptible individuals. Furthermore, the vinegar's gentle diuretic action promotes the elimination of dissolved toxins without overloading the kidneys. Unlike certain harsh supplements, in the digestive system, apple cider vinegar improves nutrient absorption by regulating gastric pH and stimulating digestive enzymes. Balanced stomach acid not only prevents heartburn and reflux, but also optimizes the breakdown of proteins and carbohydrates, increasing the bioavailability of essential vitamins and minerals. At the same time, the prebiotics present in vinegar feed beneficial gut bacteria, strengthening the gut microbiota, which has a direct link to immunity, metabolism, and even mental health. Furthermore, vinegar can help with glycemic balance, preventing insulin spikes and glucose resistance. This effect is crucial, as high blood sugar levels cause systemic inflammation, liver overload, and oxidative stress in multiple organs. By reducing this metabolic burden, apple cider vinegar contributes to an internal environment less conducive to toxin accumulation and chronic inflammation. A less explored aspect is its effect on free radicals and oxidative stress. The antioxidant compounds in vinegar help neutralize unstable molecules that damage cells and tissues. This not only protects vital organs but also contributes to more efficient regeneration, supporting long-term health. The ideal practice involves daily consumption of diluted apple cider vinegar, usually 1 to 2 tablespoons in 200 to 250 milliliters of water, before meals. This simple routine enhances the detoxifying action and promotes continuous internal cleansing without the need for extreme diets or chemical products. The combination of detoxification, improved digestion, and metabolic regulation creates a synergistic effect, transforming the body comprehensively and noticeably. Finally, it's important to remember that prevention is more powerful than repair. Including apple cider vinegar as a daily habit not only helps eliminate existing toxins, but also protects organs from future overload, promoting longevity and overall well-being. The beauty of this method is that it is natural, affordable, and safe when used consistently, making it a true ally for holistic health. Now that you know the power of apple cider vinegar, transformation is within your reach. Try incorporating small doses daily, watch your body react, and feel the difference. Health, vitality, and renewed energy are not only possible, they're inevitable when you understand how to nourish and protect your body from the inside out. Let's transform your metabolism, digestion, immunity, and detox together naturally and continuously.